Hi, everybody. Welcome to Women Who Impact. Women Who Impact is a safe space to highlight marginalized women in our communities who are making a difference as they impact the lives of others. And today we have Stacy Thomas online with us. Thank you for joining us for Women Who Impact.
See a black screen. That's what I see.
Okay. Sorry about that, but we'll figure that out. Okay. So we'll get ready to start. Thank you, everybody that has joined us. This is Women of Impact. And Women of Impact is basically a platform where we are interviewing ladies, Black ladies, BIPOC ladies in our communities that are impacting their local communities. Did you figure it out, Stacy?
I can see us on the computer.
Okay, you can still see
it
us.
looks like I'm on two devices here.
Yes, you are. I see that as well.
Okay.
All right. All right. So everyone, thank you for joining us. I do have Stacy with us, and Stacy is a financial advisor, and she's going to be sharing. It is Financial Literacy Month, so we're going to be speaking a bit about financial literacy. We're going to talk about some important areas, some important, nuggets that we need to know about when we talk about financial literacy. So Stacey, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself and introduce what you do. And as you go into introducing yourself, I'm going to know, basically, what made you become a financial advisor. So tell us a bit about you.
Okay. So where am I looking? Am I looking at
You're looking right
the laptop?
Right here.
So I'm looking at the computer.
Wherever, look on your phone, because I think on your phone. Yeah. Are you looking on your phone?
Yeah.
Okay, I can see that you're looking at me now. So look on the phone. All right.
On the phone. So phone is where we're at. Yeah. Okay, awesome. So I'm an old fart. I'm a Facebook girl, right?
This is your first IG live?
Yes, it is. I'm a Facebook girl. I'm an oldie.
Huh? That's okay. Welcome.
Yes.
All right. So tell us about who you are, Stacy.
Okay, awesome. So thank you so much for inviting me on here. It is definitely an honor, and I appreciate you. It's been a while. We've been trying to connect. So my name is Stacy Thomas, as you said, and I'm a very simple person. My name is Sweetie Stacy on Facebook, on my social media platform. Not quite sure how I got that name. I'm not so sweet, but actually, I was born here in Canada. I went to school here. I went to Ryerson, now called TMU, and I also went to school in the U.S. And actually, I studied fashion, right? Absolutely nothing to do with finance. So I went from fashion to finance. And my heritage is my parents are from Jamaica. So, you know what, here in Canada, they never really, I went to school, but they didn't teach us financial literacy, right? So naturally, when I was about age 29, that's when I got slapped in the face with estate planning because my father passed away.
Oh my. Okay.
So when he passed away, all of a sudden now I was supposed to be managing the money in the home. Well, guess what, Natalie? There was no money to manage. Okay, so he just had a small little group insurance with his job, and that just paid for the funeral. And that's it. So I always thought to myself in the back of my mind, there has to be something else. Like it can't just be work, and you die. And that's it. So I always was looking in the back of my mind, subconsciously, not really understanding that there has to be something greater out there. There has to be something better out there. And I was able to, format my money ministry and join this amazing platform where I'm able to teach people about financial literacy and help them build their financial house.
Thank you for sharing that. So what I'm hearing from your own story, and thank you for being transparent and sharing, your personal testimony of how you got into financial literacy, because I'm hearing that your father passed away, and my condolences, in your 20s, which is really young. And all of a sudden you have to manage the finances, and realizing that there wasn't a lot of planning there, and that kind of encouraged you to go into financial literacy to help others, is what I'm hearing you say. How was that actually so as it's so being in your 20s, I couldn't imagine, again, taking on that big responsibility, because it is a big responsibility and you're still going through your own developmental stage as well. What I do like is that you were able to take something that you've been through and find a way to use it to help others and now become a financial advisor, helping others, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that takes a lot of courage to do that. So thank you. All right, I have a few questions for you.
Okay.
One of the questions I have, and you might have already answered this, but I want to ask it. So what inspired you to become that financial advisor? So based on, you spoke about your lived experiences, you spoke about your personal, like what you've personally been through. And at one point, because you also said that you did fashion in school, and I know you said that fashion is not connected to financial literacy, but it actually is, because in anything that we do, in any career that we do, we have to know how to manage our money. We have to know that when we're getting, and this is just my personal opinion based on my wisdom, knowledge, and books that I've read, everything is connected to financial literacy. Everything is connected to financial education. It's actually a part of our mental health. It's a part of our daily living, because if you don't know how to manage the money, you're going to lose the money. You're going to go, you're going to work it. You're not going to know where to put it. So if I can say what platforms or where do you save your money, things like that. So everything that we do is financial literacy. So I would say, even though you were in fashion, it is still connected to financial literacy. So at what point were you inspired to become a financial advisor? Because from fashion to financial literacy, from going to university for fashion and then becoming a financial advisor, can you share with us?
For sure. That's a great, great question. So actually, when I said related, I mean in terms of, I didn't study finance in school, right? Okay. So I far from, I was not a numbers girl, it's right?
It's like fashion. You got to know how to sew. You got to know how to style. There's no accounting or bookkeeping. Did you guys learn bookkeeping?
Yeah, we did some basic stuff, like just, in terms of having maybe a small business and something like that, but not your own personal finance, right? So for myself, I have 4 kids. So I also want to make sure that they have, something to look to and a legacy. So for myself, in terms of jumping on board into this industry, it wasn't like I was looking to become this, finance person, finance queen, or anything like that. I actually was in fashion. That's what I loved. That was my passion. I didn't really like numbers, nothing to do with it. Like, it wasn't my thing, right? I saw my girlfriend, Odetta King, and she was flying here and flying there and all over the world. And I was like, what are you doing? I asked her. I hit her up on Facebook, and I'm like, what are you doing? Whatever you're doing, I want to be involved, right? So she introduced me to this awesome and amazing platform where we're educating 30 million people by 2030, right? That's what we want to do. And for me, I want to make sure that, I focus on my community, because, we've been left behind. So that was how I got into it. That's how I got into the industry, and how I ended up staying in is actually I worked for a company, and then guess what? During COVID, they got bankrupt. So I was doing, God bless, I was doing this part-time. And then I just said, you know what? Go for full force. So then that's how I went from fashion to finance. I went full force during COVID, and now I am my own money manager.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. And that's definitely inspiring to know that you started off part-time, and then after COVID, or during COVID, you said you decided to go full force. And I think that takes a lot of bravery, because we all know what COVID was like, but I think also, as I think about that phase of going through COVID, it allowed us to reflect, but also allowed us to really pause and think about not only finances, but really, where do we want to do? Because we saw what was happening during that time, and asking ourselves, where I'm at right now, is this what I want to do for maybe the next 5-10 years? And I kind of fear that, I kind of hear you saying that, that reflection piece of you, because how do you go full time? Were you afraid? Was there fear? That's not even
it was kind of
my questions, but I just want to know, based on what you're telling me, I want to know, because to be honest, I think there was a lot of people during COVID time, and they said, you know what, this is not it. That after that, that either made you, I could just say it made us more resilient, is what I want to say. That's all.
Definitely.
What I want to say. But can you share were you were you afraid?
Well, that's definitely one of the benefits of COVID, that it made people make a decision, right? And for myself, even though it was kind of like a forced decision, right? Because the company, like I said, they went bankrupt. But for myself, of course, I had the choice to go back to other retailers, which I did at some point. But then I was like, you know what? No, it's not for me. I really love and adore traveling, and I don't want to be having to ask a boss, can I take, 2 weeks off? Can I take a week off? Can I, and when I realized that this business, being an entrepreneur, because it's a capitalist country, that I'm able to save so much on taxes and writing things off, that I said, hey, this is something that is, doable, something that I'm able to write my own paycheck. So I have so much freedom. And once you learn more about, finances, and you're able to put your money and grow your money and make your money work for you, then it's a lot easier. You have choices. You can make better decisions because you have that autonomy to be able to be your own boss, right? So that really appealed to me.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. You mentioned something about making your money work for you. Can you share? So how do we make our money work for us? What give us like a few things of how we do that?
Oh, that's what I love. So number one, you got to get educated. So financial literacy is the key, because we've been left behind. There's so many things that I thought I knew, right? I'm here, I live in Brampton, I'm like, my house is worth this and that, like I'm good. But not until I started to go to our workshops, and they're all complimentary workshops, then I started to realize, oh my goodness, I didn't know that, I didn't know this, I didn't know where to put my money to make my money grow. I didn't trust, right? I didn't know where to put my money to like save and reduce taxes, right? I ended up also specializing in retirement. So I'm a registered retirement analyst. So when I look at people's portfolio and I'm like, oh my goodness, I wish I knew you earlier, or I wish I knew this 10, 20 years ago, because you could be just living off the rate of return, right? If you know where to put your money, when you retire, you can just live off the interest, right? So there's so many places, but we don't have access to this information as the general public, right? Because why? It's so easy just for us to just keep spending, right? You tap, it goes in, you don't even see it go in, you don't see it go out. But we have to be conscious savers and investors. We have to make that conscious decision that we're going to pay ourselves first, right? So you're going to have the Natalie bill and pay yourself first. Because you know what? Enbridge is coming, Rogers is coming, Fido is coming, everybody's coming for a piece of you.
Yeah, Bell is
right?
coming.
So, yes. So it's more important that you have the Natalie bill and you pay that first. So a lot of it is a mindset too, right? Yeah. That's what the rich do. They pay themselves first, and then they still, like, if you pay 10% to yourself, 10% for your tithes, if that's what you do, and then you still have 80%, all of your expenses and your entertainment, right? So it's, we live in one of the wealthiest countries in the world, Natalie, but unfortunately so many people have money problems. So that's the main thing, is getting the financial literacy first. Then you can know what to do and empower yourself to be your own money manager.
Yeah, and I think that's so important. And I think in the beginning you spoke about that, right? The fact that in North America, not only North America, though, it's all over. It's global. Like, we're not taught about financial literacy. So unless now, I know for Canada, it's actually embedded in our curriculum as of 2 years ago or 3 years ago. So when students are in grade 3 or 4, they're learning about, actually, I think it's grade 1 now. I can't remember, but they're learning about financial literacy. They're learning about money skills at a very, very young age in the education system, because they've realized that that is a part of our daily living. That is fine when you can empower a family to manage their finances, and you can give them tools and resources. That's really building stronger families and resilient families, and teaching families, okay, that, you know what, this is how you use your money. This is how you make your money work for you. And starting with the children, it's embedding that. So by the time these kids are going to be in grade 9, and I remember when I was in my class and I was teaching, and one of the students said to me, oh, I have a savings account through RBC. They have a little child app that the parents manages. And I'm like, oh, really? I never knew. It was one of my students that actually shared that with me. So it's amazing to see that even at such a young age, you know, the kids are learning it now, and they know about their savings account. So I think that for me, I think Ontario made a good step in making sure that financial literacy is embedded in our curriculum. And I hope that's all throughout North America. It actually should be global, where kids are learning about money from a young age. Because as you said, you know, coming to Canada as an immigrant child, I just knew to put my money in a piggy bank. Where that money, and that's what I did. I put the coins in the piggy bank, and you learn that you have to purchase. I had to purchase my own long time ago. They didn't have the phones, but you know, the pager. It's from that piggy bank that I had to purchase
Yes.
a long time ago, right?
Yeah.
It's those skills that you develop, but at the same time, I never learned about stocks, never really learned about investments, never learned about the high interest savings account, never really learned about a lot of those things until my adult years, until I started picking up books and reading. And a lot of us are self-taught, right? And you make that when you're self-taught, even being self-taught, you still do need someone that is trained and that knows more than you. And even personally for myself, it was sitting with my financial advisor and him going through my portfolio and saying, oh, you need this, you need an emergency fund. What emergency fund? No one ever told us about an emergency fund. I'm like, Mom, Dad, do you guys have an emergency fund? They said, excuse me, what's an emergency what? And I said, an emergency fund is what, do you guys have one? So even as we learn, we're also educating others around us, right? So your job is very important. And, you know, because you're not only empowering the families that you're working with, you're actually empowering generations. You're changing the trajectory of those generations of families who are on a path of financial, I would say passing down wealth, generational wealth to their children. And a lot of us, I can speak and say a lot of us, we're learning about that generational wealth. So I want to go there. I want to talk about generational wealth. What can you tell us about that?
Okay, well, it starts with yourself, right? So I was able to put things in place to be able to change the trajectory of my entire family. So from there,
sorry to cut you off. Give us one thing that you put in place for those who are listening, that those who are on that path of really not knowing. Can you tell us one thing that you put in place?
Sure. So one main thing is I made sure that my children get the same education that I was getting as well. So them getting the financial literacy is not enough. You can't just hear it. You have to put things in place. So one of the things that they were able to put in place is saving and investing. So they all opened up a tax-free saving because, listen, Natalie, when I used to come home, Amazon boxes at the door. I'm just tripping over them to go inside the house, right? And I said, oh, no, you girls are not just going to be active spenders. You're going to be active savers as well. So as much as you spend, you want to save too. So they have been investing for years now. So they understand how it works. They understand how the stock works, and they see their money growing, right? My little daughter, Raven, she bakes and she sells them on Instagram as well. So the money that she gets from that, she was putting in her regular bank, and she said, Mom, I see 18 cents. What is this? And I was like, don't worry about it. I'll take care of you. And now she sees how much her money is just compounding because she understands the rule of 72, right? These things are, like I said, they are not taught in school. Thank goodness now maybe they're putting it into the curriculum, but it's so important to make sure that your money works for you, and then make sure that your money is compounding, because we work really hard for our money. So we want to make sure our money works for us. Then we can leave it to the next generation. So we want to make sure we transfer that estate very well so that they can maximize on that. So when you're building a solid foundation, you want to start, with proper protection. You want to make sure you have debt management. Emergency fund, like you said, is very, very important to have at least minimum, they say 3 to 6 months of your expenses. But COVID taught us that we need like 12 months, right? Because people got laid off. And then, of course, last but not least is investments, right? So you want to have a solid house so that anything happens, your house does not fall down financially.
Which is very important. Thank you for sharing that. And what I really like, as we talked about generational wealth, I think what resonated with me, because we think about generational wealth and it can be your assets that you're passing down. But even if you pass down those assets and you're not able, and your child does not know, or your whoever your beneficiary does not know how to manage those assets or the money, what's going to happen to it.
Go on in the next generation. Correct. Yeah.
So what I like that you said, knowledge. Exactly. Mm-hmm. And that's what I wanted to go back to. The fact that you said that one thing that you did was not only make sure that you're educated, but you also educated your children. Because I think about that, and I think about even having my own son, and I'm like, listen, these are the steps that you need to take, and I'm giving you this knowledge because it is my responsibility to make sure that you have this knowledge, that if anything happens, you know what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to do it. Sometimes he's looking at me like, I'm like, listen, you're going to either take it or leave it, but you're going to take it because I need to make sure that you're not going to lose.
It's essential.
What I'm accumulating, what I'm leaving. Exactly. You have to be able to manage, and you have to know the strategies, and you have to know where to put it. Exactly. Right. So that's very, very important.
Yeah. And what's the purpose of leaving millions and then it's just blown? They blow it away. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I really like that point that you made, and I'm going to take that. You said taking that initiative, and I'm even going to make sure that I'm applying that, making sure I continue to teach that knowledge about, what to do, that education piece, making sure that my son is even engaging in more workshops around that, because I think that's so important. Of course, as parents and guardians, we can have all the knowledge, but if we have all the knowledge and our children don't have it, and we're not passing it down, and we're just leaving them $1 million, and they're not going to know.
Doesn't make sense.
They're going to lose it.
A waste. Exactly. Mm-hmm. And another main factor is, like, I consider this my money ministry. So in terms of also for them to understand, like, money's not everything, but you need money for everything, right? So they're blessed, and they should be a blessing to others to be able to give back as well, give into the community, right? There's so many people that are struggling. There are many people in the world, all around the world, they only live on like $2 a day. So for them to really understand that money is to flow, right? Not just to keep and hold. It is to make other people's lives better. So they want to be a blessing to others as well, and have that relationship with the Lord, and understand that, it even says in the Bible that a man leaves an inheritance, right? There's children's children. So we want to make sure that, that relationship is cultivated. And that is one of the most important things in terms of money management. You don't want that money to control you, right?
Yeah, I'm smiling because growing up, I'm just, I'm very transparent and I'm very honest. We weren't really, even if you went to church, I don't know if that was really taught, that, about that piece about, so I'll be honest, like, working towards being wealthy. And personally, I think that's okay. I think it's okay to work towards wanting to have a certain amount of money, because, of course, in the end, it's going to be very transparent. If you don't have money, you can't help others in your community. You can volunteer your time, but sometimes you're going to need to maybe purchase some Christmas is coming up, so you may have to purchase some care kits or some food for someone. But if you don't have it, you really can't give back. You really can't help, and not everyone is in a position where they can do that. But I think that so many of us have been, so many of us have the opportunity where we can give back. But I'm going to be honest, growing up, you're not really taught that it's okay to have a certain amount of money. Well, kind of taught that money is evil, but it's not. It's the way how you use it, right? And so can you shed some light on that? Because I'm just being honest, like, you don't really hear a lot about that. And if you talk about money in the church, sometimes people are like, they shy away from it. But my question, and I've struggled with this actually for a few months, and I'm like, why? I just think that if we are able to get to a certain level, if we're able to save certain amount of money, and I'm using my personal example. One of the reasons why I'm able to give back is because I've worked my ass off, excuse my language, but I've bust my butt to make sure that I came out of poverty, because I grew up in poverty and I know what that's like. And I said, you know what? I don't want this for myself. And I think that's okay. I give myself permission. I gave myself permission to work those 2 jobs when I was younger, to sometimes work 3 jobs and put it away in my savings, and to accumulate certain things, because I knew that for me, there was a calling on my life to help my community. But I also knew that I couldn't help my community unless I had certain things. Like, you can't help your community if you can't help yourself first, right? So I had I had to be able to kind of do that sacrifice and work those two jobs while in university and build myself up so that one day, and so that now I can pour back into my community. And I love that I'm able to do that. But I can tell you that I can tell you that one of the hardest things is breaking out of poverty. It's very hard when you grow up in poverty, when you live in subsidized housing and you live in your government housing and you see your parents struggle, and then after now you're in university and you graduate with your student loan debt, and you're trying to, I didn't want all that debt, and I had to work to put myself through school. And again, everybody's situation is different. I didn't want certain things for my life, but it was hard. I can tell everybody it was very difficult, because it's working two jobs and trying to get out of and trying to break that. It's not easy.
Yes.
And
yes, I know that we work so hard.
Similar. I don't know. Maybe yours is similar.
Well, in general, like, we work so hard to make sure, our kids go to a good school, and then, they graduate with a lot of debt, and then debt just becomes a way of life. But for myself, the case was a little bit different. I was very blessed that my parents already started financial plans for me. So I had a registered education savings plan. So I didn't have to pay out of pocket. So when I graduated, I had zero debt, right? So that gave me a head start. That gave me a foot in the door, right? That's why I was able to also travel to the U.S. and pay for international fees, because I didn't have, debt. So I never really grew up with that. So I didn't really understand how it was. It was just a weird phenomenon to me personally. It wasn't until I think I got sick in 2015 that I understood, oh my goodness, you can have debt piling up and it gets out of control. But in the church, just going back, we grow up there, and you kind of, it's like mystical, the talks of money, and you hear a little bit of this and that, and you kind of think, oh, money is the root of all evil, but it's not. It's the love of money, right? So if you're in general not a good person, money will bring that out even more. If you're mean, right? But if you are a good person, money is going to be just flowing, and you're going to be more generous. Like, look at Job in the book, right? Like, there's a lot of wealthy men in the Bible. So God believes that, we should have riches right here on earth right now that we can share with others, right? That's the thing, to be able to be a blessing, to bless others with what we have, even be our time, our talent, our funds, whatever it is that we want to be able to share with our community.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for shedding some light on that as well. And I'm going to go back to I didn't get through all my questions because as you're speaking.
Oh my goodness, I am so sorry. I'm also realizing that my battery is telling me it's like 10%. And this is one of those phones that it'll just shut off at any time. So just in case it shuts off, you know what happened.
We're going to be finished before it shuts off.
Okay.
So I have a question for you, because I've already asked. Oh no, I didn't ask this. So this is one of my questions. Who inspired you on your journey?
Oh, okay. Well, I have several journeys, but in life and in general, I would say that actually my mom, because, she ventured out and came to this country from Jamaica on her own, by herself. And, that put us in a different position that maybe, I don't know what we would have been, right? So I see her as a very courageous woman. So she was always fiercely independent. So she kind of instilled that in me as well. So growing up, I really, I look up to her in terms of, what she's done for our family. And she's the one that put the first foot forward. Yeah. So now I'm able to take us to the next level, right? And in terms of what you're talking about, leaving that legacy, generational wealth, that type of stuff, I'm able to build upon that because she was able to, purchase her first home, and we go from there. So yeah, I'm going to say my mom.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I just love her.
Especially still being strong after my father died, still working, being strong, putting things to place, and just being independent on her own. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. Now, I have another question. Let me go back here. So what have you learned about yourself during the process of starting your business and where you are today? So what you learned.
Oh, that's okay. This is a good one.
Okay.
Yeah. I found that I don't have as much patience as I thought that I did because you're working with people, right? So to be, sometimes having to repeat yourself or something, having to like trying to explain a concept and they're not getting it and they don't understand because, like you said, it's the mindset, right? So it's like, you want to have a millionaire mindset, but it's difficult if you said like you grew up in a poverty mindset. So it's very difficult sometimes to, express things and let people know and let them understand because they always think that maybe you're trying to get something on them. Like they can't believe that, it's complimentary or it's free or you're trying to help. So I think sometimes that's very frustrating. But with that being said, I'm also very proud that I've already educated well over 1,000 individuals and families because of this platform, right? I'm one of the national instructors.
It's not even over 1,000, it's millions because, as I said, it's generations. It's generations. It's children that you're not even going to get to where you're not going to be able to see years from now.
True, I never looked at it that way.
1,000 is like you're changing the lives of families, Stacy.
Personally,
that's what it is. And yeah, it's so what you're doing is amazing, and I do have. Yeah, you're welcome because this is Women of Impact. You are impacting our communities in so many different ways. And I just want to say thank you for making yourself available. Thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for using your personal experience of what you've been through to say, you know what, I need to do this. I need to educate myself so that I can now educate others. Because in actual reality, the reason what I'm hearing that you did it is because of what you went through with your dad. You didn't want anybody else to go through that. And you didn't want anybody to experience that. So the fact that you were able to take that and turn it around and now empower our community. Thank you, Stacy. We appreciate you, is what I want to say. Yeah.
I appreciate that. Yeah. So I know that people can help me. Whenever I post stuff, if they can share it, then that really helps a lot too. So just getting people on to workshops, we help people get out of debt. We help people to increase their cash flow, take care of their wills, cover everything from the cradle to the grave. Like it's a holistic approach at just taking a look at everything and whatever it is that you need, right? That's where we help people to work on those things.
And I want to know, so you kind of shared my next question because I always ask, what is it that we can do to help you? So can you please tell your IG, how do they get in contact with you? Is it info at, I don't know, tell us, how do we get in contact with you, please? They just go
okay.
They just go on your IG page.
Do you want me to type it on? You want me to type it in the comments?
Do you have access to type in the comments?
Yeah.
If you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
It says so right here. Okay.
Go ahead.
So. My name is Sweetie Stacy on Facebook as well as Instagram, but I'm not too much on the gram.
Well, now you now
so much platforms.
You'll be doing more live, and you'll be educating people on IG about financial literacy, about different things that they can do around some tips. So you'll be much more on Instagram.
All right.
I'm encouraging.
So this is where you can reach me.
Awesome.
This is where you can reach me in terms of the campaign. And then from there is a link that you can email me directly or you can call me directly. And yeah, I would be so happy to help and whatever people need. I'm just, I want to be there to help families.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Okay, my next question, which is our last question. What is your message to other people out there that either want to start a business, a new career, or your overall message to us?
Okay. We're down to 5%. So definitely, I know your platform is for women as well, marginalized women. So I will say that just really, as the commercial, just do it, just go for it. If there's something that you're passionate about and you love, then start it small, start it on a part-time basis, right? Especially if it has to do with entrepreneurship, because this is a capitalist country we live in. And the best way for you to really get ahead is to have your own business, right? You can think about it. Which job do you work that you're going to be paid your worth? Where do you work that they're going to pay you $1 million a year, right? if you have your own business, then you have that opportunity. You have the options, right? And I know for myself that we need a lot of help because we have a goal of educating 30 million people. So definitely, if you want to join and be a part of the financial literacy campaign, for sure, get in contact with me because it's something that everybody can do. Like I said, I went from fashion to finance.
Thank you for that very important message. And I hope that everybody will really think about that message that you gave us. And you shared many different nuggets, many different tips. And I just want to say thank you for joining. And that will be the end of our session. So I'm going to end it. Bear with me. Let's see. Okay. And I hope that it will save. So thank you, everybody, for everyone that came on and joined our not Facebook, our Instagram Live. I just want to thank you for taking time and just joining and listening to Stacy and I. Take care, everyone. Okay, Stacy.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay.
Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.
Okay.